Right, what's... Cindy, the TV is leaking. Why is the TV lit? Oh, it's a hose. Why has she got a hose and the... Oh, we ain't going to rinse it. Surely not. There's... Surely not. Love, I don't think you should do that. Oh, shit. Is that soap? Oh, my Jesus. Is that even going to work again? I don't know what to say. It's going to be the cleanest TV ever, but I don't know if it's going to work. It's electrical. Is this okay? Am I being stupid? I don't know what to say. There's a wire coming out. Surely this isn't. Maybe the front of the TV you could get away from it, but... Oh, my anxiety. But not in the HDMI ports and the plug in that, surely. Oh my God, the broom's involved. She's nicked the Nimbus 3000 to clean the telly. If this still works, fair play, but knowing my luck, if I tried to plug that thing back in, you'd never see a strand of hair on my head again. Mate, it's the cleanest TV that I think I'm ever going to see. Is the video going to show it still working? Oh my God, my body's gone a bit weird. Now we go for the rinse off. Surely that's not going to work again. Oh, not look, the HDMI is getting drowned. Are we going to see it work again? Oh my God, it's like the window cleaners. You know when you're just lying in bed and all of a sudden you just see a broom at your door? You forgot they've come round. Oh my God. Used to be like, Mum, can you let me know when the window cleaners are coming round, please? Literally just some random broom on the window. Just gone, poof. Hello? Oh, we've even got a squidgy. Oh my God, the wire's giving me anxiety. Where are we going now? Please tell me we're going to plug it. It's dribbling. She's dribbling from the bottom. Oh, surely.
You see, no one in this province has such a big screen. Yeah. And she has put what I meant. Yeah, you see, now this is a loss. Oh my God. It has even distracted me from seeing those sheep that has passed away. Anyway, good vibes to all humans, man. You are loved and respected. And Heidi knows something we don't. Brace yourself for a cold spell. Oh my God. You see, this animal started preparing early. It's like they knew cold was coming. Oh, you see, these animals are very intelligent. Full of good vibes. Imagine if you see an animal with wood like this preparing some place for warmth, you just know it's going to be extra cold. Because yourself, you even don't have wood, you have skin, and that one is preparing and has wood.
What did the priests do with this stuff afterwards? They mixed the blood of a tortured and killed victim into drinks, which they used in rituals, such as your so-called Holy Communion, nowadays, sometimes in small doses, sometimes in concentrated forms. They drank those drinks themselves and gave them to the flock. And it was enough to drink just a small amount of this mixture to get the desired effect. This is the case when minimal doses produce a great result. This substance acts like homeopathy. Getting into your body, it triggers a response, activates your hormonal system, and forces it to work the way the priests want. Hence, there are the effects you experience in your temples, starting from inner peace, lightness, and elation, up to euphoria and incredible inner ecstasy.
Oh my God, that's creepy.
Alright, hey guys, so I got something very hot for you, the Miami footage. There's only 2 people that have this footage. I had to sign an agreement, a disclosure agreement, that I would not try to profiteer off of it, make any kind of money or anything like that. I'm going to share this video with you. It's not going to last long. As soon as it gets up there, as soon as the AI bots catch it, they're going to pull it right back off. This is the actual footage. So you're going to see exactly what these people see. and why such mass riots and freak out. why would they would call hundreds of cops? I mean, I feel bad because when the story first broke, I thought it was bullshit. I thought, man, anybody, the shit people will do for attention, you know what I mean? Then I found this video, and I just thought, there's no freaking way this is real. So I messaged the person. We've been speaking back and forth ever since last night, and no, the footage is real. And they had to sign an agreement with TikTok. Apparently, they have a TikTok lawyer. I'm going to show you the video, all right? When you see this, like I said, save it, share it. Try to get this out there as fast as possible because you know they're going to pull it. We're at 1:30. All right, part 2. I'm going to have to show it on part 2 just because TikTok's got me on shadow ban right now. I can't share videos more than like 1 minute, 50 seconds or some shit. Check out part 2. Hurry.
Ah. Oh my God. There is no witch. There is no demon if there's nothing for nature to respond negatively. There is no negativity in your world. No negativity in your world. Then there is nothing outside there to take advantage. There is nothing outside there to worry about. Those things may go on outside there, but it's not meant for you. It is meant for those who have harbored things inside them. Not that you won't see those things. When you are cleared, if you are seeing those things, they are not meant for you. You are not cleared, they are meant for you. Beloved brothers and sisters, try to understand. So this is the message I have for you. 2024, this is going to happen, that is going to happen, that is. Clear your world. If nothing is happening inside you, don't listen to anything. Don't be afraid. That is the word. Don't be afraid. I wish you greatness, man.
Picture called Checkmate. You don't want to miss this.
There's a picture in the museum in the Louvre. I don't know how many of you have ever been there. The picture is called Checkmate. The devil's sitting on this side. There's a chessboard, and there's a guy sitting on the other side. And the guy sitting on the other side has his hand on his head like this. And he's like in desperation. And as they were taking a tour through the Louvre, there had been a group of athletes, and particularly world champions, that were being given a special tour. And in the tour was the world chess champion. And he comes walking by the picture. And the guy's explaining to him, this is a picture of an artist rendering of somebody who lost the battle with the devil. And so the group moved on to the next picture to see something else. But the world chess champion, he stayed there. And he just kept looking at the picture. And soon they noticed that he was not with the group. And so the tour guide came back and said, we've moved on. Are you coming? He said, well, I've been looking at this picture. And the guy said, yeah. He said, it's called Checkmate. The devil's laughing. The man's lost. And he said, yeah. He said, I've been noticing that. He said, but while I've been standing here, I've kept looking at the picture. I got a problem. And he said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, you know, I'm a world champion chess player, and I spend my life playing chess. And normal people don't always see what a world champion chess player sees. He says, but when y'all walked off, I looked at the devil laughing, and I looked at the man in desperation. But he said, I noticed something on the chessboard. He said, either they're going to have to change the painting, or they're going to have to change the name. And the guy said, well, why are they going to have to do that? He said, well, you know, I'm a world champion chess player.
Yeah.
And he said, when I observed the board, I found out the king still has one more move. I come to tell somebody today, you believe you've been cornered. You believe everything is gone and nothing has got any hope. But the king still has one more move. I dare you to declare it. The king has one more move. He has one more move over my finances. He has one more move over my marriage. He has one more move over my kids. It is not over.
Outside the Game Awards 2023.
Oh, that is scary.
More personality traits of a psychopath. My name is Dr. Jalil Mohammed. I'm a consultant psychiatrist and my job is to diagnose and treat mental health conditions. Firstly, psychopaths tend to lead a parasitic lifestyle. This means they prefer to leech off other people rather than having to put in hard work for themselves. So it could mean that they enter a relationship to use somebody for their money. They could also want other people to do activities, errands, work for them. Whatever it may be, psychopaths tend to want other people to work for them. Number two is that psychopaths tend to be very short-tempered. So you may see that a psychopath will be completely normal, they'll be having a normal conversation, then there'll be one thing that triggers them and they explode with anger. And often for people who haven't experienced that type of anger or rage in a person before in their lives, that can be very manipulative. So the anger of the psychopath will be used to manipulate other people. The third is promiscuity. So psychopaths tend to enter a lot of short-term sexual relationships, and in fact often they end up getting married quite a lot, and there'll be sort of whirlwind romances. They'll meet someone, get married very quickly, but the marriage won't last very long. Number four is early behavioral problems. So the signs of psychopathy can sometimes become evident during childhood. And some of the things that psychopaths may have done as a child include significant violence. So sometimes you'll see that children have acted in a really strange way. They've either been violent towards pets or other animals, or they've been really aggressive towards other children. And number five is a lack of empathy. So psychopaths do not care about other people's feelings. In fact, if you ever approach a psychopath to tell them about how you're feeling about a situation, a psychopath will make it very clear that they could not care less. They literally have a million things that they would rather do than listen to how you feel about a situation.
Alright guys, I'm 44 years old. Never in my life when I grew up did I hear about a upside down smiley face crescent moon. We always learned about a side facing crescent moon. Kids never grew a upside down smiley face for their moon. What is going on here? When did this start happening?
Seems like the new age moon. What is that?
People with the different blood types actually carry different information, so they can tune into different parts of the world using their blood type, because within their blood type they store this DNA that actually gets activated in these places. So what I've noticed from many different higher selves is that the O blood type can really tune into Atlantis, and it seems like they have this ability to tune into different places that are close to where Atlantis was, or even places within Egypt, and they seem to have this ability kind of almost stronger than other people. And then people with the A or AB blood type seem to be able to tune into the Norse region or Avalon or mystic, like fairies and gods. And one telltale sign that somebody is a reincarnation of the fairy realm is that they are anemic often. Their body cannot produce or keep in iron. And the Druids used to drink out of this well in Glastonbury because it had a lot of iron in them. in it. And so that's one of the reasons why a lot of reincarnations from the Fae cannot keep iron in their body. And the more I keep uncovering this information, the more I'm just kind of just shocked at how much information is really out there that we don't know. So I'm really excited to finish this 4th book.
Do you agree or disagree?
Any astronomer will tell you that the sight of the celestial heavens from the surface of the moon by astronauts would have been breathtaking, overwhelming, and certainly would have evoked a tremendous response on the part of any human being on the moon. Now, what I have to ask is, why didn't the astronauts take a telescopic camera to the moon and take pictures of Saturn, Venus, Mars, the galaxies? They could have gotten pictures of the stars that are impossible to get on Earth because of the atmospheric interference. Micrometeorites are particles ranging in size, say, from a grain of sand on up to something formidable like the size of a human fist. Well, micrometeorites rain on the surface of the moon constantly. It's known that 25,000 meteorites enter the Earth's atmosphere every day. But they don't harm anybody because the majority of them are burned up by the atmosphere and their very, very rapid transit. On the moon, there's no atmosphere. The meteorites rain down on everything, on anybody who happens to be there, any equipment on the surface. Had astronauts gone to the moon, they would have been pelted and pierced by micrometeorites traveling up to 30,000 miles per hour. One wonders why they were able to get such perfect photographs on the moon when obviously micrometeorites could have gone right through the Hasselblad cameras and the film.
Good. Let's talk a little bit about the radiation outside the Van Allen radiation belt.
You know, Bart, I really know so little about that. Renee is such an expert that I'll beg off on that point, because I know little or nothing about the radiation in space, but he has it down absolutely cold.
Tell us about the, what about the air conditioning in the lunar module?
Oh, yeah. Well, I can talk about that.
Okay.
The lunar module on the moon was assailed by sunlight, unobstructed by any atmosphere. The surface of the moon, when the sun is shining on it, is about 250 degrees Fahrenheit. One has to ask, how were the astronauts able to air cool or water cool or cool in any way the interior of the lunar excursion module? They only had batteries, and batteries run down very quickly when they're running air conditioning equipment. So it's obvious to almost anybody who investigates the lunar excursion module that there would have been no way to keep the astronauts alive in an environment that was hot enough to bake cookies. The lunar ascent and descent engines were propelled by hypergolic propellants. And that means that propellants which, when they are mixed, ignite spontaneously. Now, these two propellants produce a very hot red gas. I've seen them tested at Rocketdyne many times. In photographs taken on the moon, there is practically no visible gas being emitted from the ascent engine when it takes off, nor is there any indication when they are descending that there is this cloud of red gas underneath the lunar excursion module. The sounds of engines run up in excess of 150 decibels. This is far beyond the capability of anybody to converse when you have sound at that high level. And yet, in broadcasts from the moon, we hear the astronauts conversing in a normal tone of voice and saying things like, "quiet ride." One of the strongest pieces of evidence that no one has ever landed on the moon is the fact that underneath the lunar module underneath the engine cone, the jet nozzle, there is no crater. And yet in all of the drawings done by NASA artists prior to Apollo, they show a tremendous crater being gouged out by this 10,000 pound thrust jet engine of the lunar descent module. I would say that the strongest piece of evidence other than the stars is the fact that there is no disturbance underneath the lunar excursion module upon its landing.
Man, what do you think about that, man?
Used to work on the north slope of Alaska. This encounter still haunts me. It was March on the slope, while still in the depths of Arctic winter. With the equinox approaching, the day-night cycle was becoming more even. My flight to the slope was delayed due to a large blizzard which shut down the Dead Horse and Kuparuk airstrips. I spent 3 days waiting in Anchorage until the storm cleared and we were able to fly. Landing at the Kuparuk airstrip, it was evident the blizzard was more severe than we had initially thought. While whiteout blizzards are common, actually snow accumulation is not. This storm, though, was a monster. Snow drift several stories tall ran up against the camp housing. Our work trucks and equipment were completely covered in snow and it took a full day of digging to get them out. As soon as the trucks were free, we were off to our first job assignment. No time to rest in the oil field. Traveling anywhere after a storm this size is a nightmare. To get to the work site, we had a bulldozer escort us, breaking up any remaining drifts as we went. The dozer cleared our work area around the well house and we began to rig up our equipment. It took little time and soon we were back to the normal humdrum of life. Over the radio we got a call from the bulldozer operator as he left that he had seen a giant black animal headed our direction. He couldn't tell if it was a wolf or a big dog, but it was massive and moving erratically. In the winter, many animals aren't active on the slope. Caribou, musk oxen, and foxes are the usual wildlife you'll encounter out in the snow. The grizzlies are hibernating. The male polar bears are hunting on the sea ice, while the females are denned up with new cubs. Wolves aren't unheard of, but rarely leave the Brooks Range Mountains a couple 100 miles to the south. Whatever the operator saw, we would keep watch, but it wasn't our problem. It was a problem for the bear police. We went about our work, albeit cautiously. It's interesting to note that oil companies on the slope have private security officers who, besides being private law enforcement, also try to minimize encounters with wildlife. We referred to them as the bear police, which is a cute name for a rather dangerous part of their job. Their primary job when encountering large predators is to harass them until they leave. This is done with beanbag guns or loud noises at first. When that fails, or if the animal is unusually aggressive, lethal force is needed. We had settled into our work and forgot about the wolf, or dog, or whatever it was. I needed to take a leak. I got out of the truck and walked behind the well house to take care of business. My crewmate came over the radio telling me to get back in the truck. There was a wolf coming out from behind the well house where I had just been, and he was pacing after me. I didn't look behind me. I just ran back and jumped into the truck. I'm not taking my chances even if it was a crewmate practical joke. Once inside I looked out and sure enough, trotting towards the truck was a large, black, male wolf. He approached our trucks and plopped down on the snow in front of us. This wolf looked rough, even by wild animal standards. The right side of his face was mutilated and deformed, missing his right eye and most of his skin and lips on that side of his head. The wound exposed large white teeth, giving him the appearance of a wide, crooked smile. He didn't appear aggressive, but he didn't take his good eye off of us. That one good eye was bright red in appearance. It was eerie. The way he sat there staring, watching, waiting. We radioed the security officers for help, and like a speeding bullet they showed up 40 minutes later. That whole time waiting, the wolf never diverted his attention from us. If I hadn't seen him breathing, I would have assumed it was a statue. The security officers arrived and took some pictures for their reports, then began the process of driving the animal back out into the tundra. Truck horns didn't startle him. He didn't even flinch. Charging him with their truck did nothing either. They then took aim with a beanbag gun and hit him square in the ribs. The wolf let out a yelp, but didn't get up or move from his spot. The next beanbag hit him in the head, and that jostled him enough to get up and leave. Security told us to call back if we saw the wolf again. They seemed confident he would move on and not be a bother anymore. The sun was setting and our job was still hours from wrapping up. Working a 13 to 15-hour day isn't unusual. You either get used to the long hours or you find another line of work pretty quick. I was running the computer equipment inside the truck and weird data was coming back from the tools down in the well. They were blanking out and losing signal, or they were reporting data backwards, but diagnostics wasn't indicating any issues. To the computer systems, everything was operating normally. I tried a few different things to fix the issue, but it persisted. One of the workers went out to the wellhead to check the gauges and cables, trying to isolate the problem from there. He was outside for not more than 5 minutes before the night was pierced by a long, bellowing howl. This was immediately followed by the high-pitched shriek of our crewmate. Throwing the door open, I was able to catch a fleeting glimpse of a large, dark figure running behind the well house. Our crewmate ran past us and jumped inside. Pale, sweating, and full of adrenaline, he tried to relay what just happened. Through his panting, he said he was in the well house checking the cables when someone walked up behind him. Thinking it was one of us, he started a conversation with his back turned. When he got no reply, he turned and was met face to face with a 7-foot-tall black wolf standing on his hind legs. It stood between him and the door, growling. Without thinking, he flung his pipe wrench at the beast and struck him hard in the chest. That's when it let out a howl and ran off. Our crewmate was adamant this was the same wolf from earlier because its face was mangled in that crooked half smile and one fiery red eye. Myself and the others on the crew had a hard time believing he saw a giant wolf man. We had no doubt he saw the wolf, but we reasoned that in his panic he hallucinated that it was a pride like a man. But we'd all encountered enough weird things on the slope to never count out the impossible. We radioed the security officers and told them the wolf had returned and waited inside the truck. What else could we do but wait? I wasn't about to go there and fight Satan's guard dog with a clipboard and a mouse pad. Every time we felt like things settled down outside, we would hear a growl or something would push against the truck, periodically. We could see something pacing in the dark just beyond the reach of the work lights. Even though we were inside a locked truck cabin, it was still a very vulnerable feeling. We were very much trapped. I'm sure it felt similar to what divers experience inside a shark cage far out at sea. All of this went on for an hour while we waited for someone to show up. Finally, coming up the road, we could see headlights of 3 approaching vehicles. The security team had showed up, this time with actual rifles. Over the radio, we told them what had been going on. You could feel their disbelief and eyes rolling through the radio. That sass and disbelief soon faded when we explored the work site and found it covered in fresh large wolf tracks. The security team split up with the trucks headed out to search for the wolf while the last one remained with us as we loaded our equipment and finished our job. We didn't hear or see anything else that night as we cleaned up, but we sure did keep our heads on a swivel. The security officers didn't find the wolf that night. A set of tracks left off the work site and out into the open tundra. The officers commented that the tracks looked weird. This was due to them only seeing the back paw prints in the snow. The last security truck escorted us back to the main camp while the others continued their search into the night. For the following week, various reports came in across the oil field of people seeing this mangled black wolf during the day. And at night, reports kept coming in of a black beast walking upright and harassing workers. Security seemed to always show up minutes too late. During this time frame, many of the Alaska Native workers were getting nervous. A week following our encounter, the security team was able to corner the wolf on a remote work site. It had attacked and trapped 2 welders in their truck. Both workers had superficial cuts through their snowsuits, but were otherwise fine. Having no other choice, the wolf was euthanized on the spot. Security shot the wolf once, and instead of dropping dead, it charged the officer that shot it. The wolf took 3 more high-powered rifle shots before it eventually collapsed at the feet of the officer. Even then, paralyzed in the now crimson snow, the wolf was still growling through its crooked wide smile. After several minutes it finally succumbed to its wounds. The wolf's body was taken to the University of Alaska Fairbanks for dissection and examination. Outside of the facial deformities and gnarled appearance, the biologist concluded it was an ordinary wolf from the Brooks Range Mountains. How it got hundreds of miles from home and why it stayed on the tundra is a complete mystery. Follow for more horror stories.
Guys, check this out. New way to propagate hibiscus just from single leaf. Gonna take the leaf, cut the leaf in half. Take a look, just like that. We're gonna slice the orange and put it right in the soil with that leaf. And within 30 days, you'll get brand new hibiscus plant. Look at this, guys. Isn't that beauty? Beautiful roots. As you can see, the leaf is not turned completely yellow. It's a little yellowish, as it should. And as you can see, there's a new leaf growing and there's a bud as well. So guys, if you like it, hit that like button, share with your friends, and save it for later on.
Oh man, that's interesting. Oh, I didn't know that. This is definitely some sort of dragon type. Oh my god. Which animal is this? Is this some hybrid of what and what? Oh my god.
The Paranormal Chick here. Y'all, this video is crazy intense. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime shot. A group of scuba divers were underwater when an earthquake hits. I've never seen this before. Take a look and tell me what you think. Oh man, that is scary. Oh my god.
What do y'all think this is captured on this trail cam? The green dots equal 1 foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 foot tall. What is it?
Oh my god, there's some big stuff. Bigfoot or what is that? Oh my god.
Come on!
Ah, that's a very big fish.
when he talks about religion, I think it's bullshit. I think that he doesn't make any sense at all. I think he's impressing people by using language they don't understand, rather like Deepak Chopra, where people think, oh, it must be terribly profound because I can't understand it, which is not something I can respect. Michael Shermer told me that he tried to pin him down and said, do you actually believe that Jesus was born of a virgin? And Jordan Peterson said, it would take me at least 2 days to answer that. So Michael said more or less, well, how about one sentence or one word? No. And that's how I feel about that. All the stuff about Jungian archetypes, and not that I would be skeptical about that, but constantly dragging them in. I mean, I think the most egregious example of that is where he looks at works of primitive art, works of tribal art, where he shows things like two snakes coiling around each other and says, well, they must have had some primitive, primeval knowledge of DNA. Perhaps they looked into their own cells in some sense and saw the DNA. Perhaps the DNA is the double helix is a Jungian archetype. I mean, that is sheer bullshit, and I told him so.
Peterson's approach here seems to have unlocked a new interest in particularly the Bible and, as he calls it, the biblical corpus. My friend Chris Williamson asked him recently on a podcast, because he kept talking about the biblical corpus. He said, when you say the biblical corpus, do you mean the Bible? He says, yes. And I'm thinking, well, why not just call it the Bible then? But he has inspired this renewed interest in the biblical corpus because of that. Because now when you see people debating religion, it tends to be less, does God exist? And more about the utility of religion and the Jungian archetypes and stuff. The God Delusion, which was the atheist book, do you think it still survives as a sufficient treatment of God and religion in modern culture? If you were to write it again, would you be taking the same approach of talking about it as a scientific issue, or would you feel the need to change the way that you're talking about the subject
I would
altogether?
certainly still talk about it as a scientific issue, because I think that's the most important thing. I probably might add a chapter on the idea of what Dan Dennett calls belief in belief, where the idea that whether you believe it or not, it's a good idea that some people do, and I think that's patronizing. I think that's condescending. It's sort of saying, well, we intellectuals don't need this crutch, but other people may do, and if they do, then it's a good thing because it helps in the battle against Putin. Well, not that Putin himself is religious.
I think Voltaire said, I don't believe in God, but I hope that my maid does.
Well, that's I didn't know that quote. It's a very good example, and that is so patronizing.
Oh, good people of Earth. Please share your thoughts.
This is why it's so important to get the vaccines, because when you're unvaccinated, you can catch COVID, spread COVID, and die from it. But when you are vaccinated, you can catch COVID, spread COVID, and die from it, but you're vaccinated. But you're guys, you're vaccinated.
Much love to everybody, man. Good vibes. You are loved and respected.
Sala de control Los Leones, aquí Rubén Lamas, conductor del tren N324. Acá sala de control, los datos indican que el tren no está avanzando y no hay alerta de freno de emergencia. Solicito confirmación. El tren está en movimiento y si seguimos avanzando por el túnel, indícame la velocidad del tren. 31 kilómetros, recibido, procedo a detener el tren anterior. Felipe, no veo la siguiente estación. Felipe, no veo la siguiente estación. N324 va a ser la mitad del trayecto, pero sigue detenido. No, el tren sí está en movimiento y seguimos avanzando por el túnel. Recibido. Felipe. ¿Qué está pasando? No, ¿qué está pasando? Ayuda, por favor. Rubén, ¿me escuchas? Rubén. Gama Gol, estación Tobalaba. Gama Gol, estación Tobalaba. Gama Gol, estación Tobalaba. Rubén, activa el freno de emergencia. Repito, activa el freno de emergencia. K1, K2. Repito, K1, K2. Frenos no funcionan. K1, K2. Frenos no funcionan. Sala de control, por favor. Oscar Tierra, repito. Oscar Tierra, por favor. Oscar Tierra. Para ir en camino. Informa cuál es el estado de los pasajeros, estamos pasando por una eventualidad inusual. Se les solicita mantener la calma. En unos instantes llegaremos a la estación. Ya hemos solicitado ayuda. Por favor, les rogamos ante toda circunstancia y por su seguridad, mantenerse adentro del tren. Repito, no salgan del tren. Que no entre nadie. A0 a 10, emergencia. A0 a 10. Repito, no salgan del tren. El tren está en movimiento. Es muy peligroso. Por favor, pero ¿por qué lo hacen? Estamos en movimiento. Por favor. Ay, Felipe, por favor, ayúdame. Ayúdame, Felipe. Se están lanzando todos del tren. Se están cayendo. El tren está en movimiento. Felipe, ayúdame, por favor, contesta. Sigma, Sigma, Sigma. Por favor, se está lanzando. Sigma. Felipe, Felipe, por favor, ayuda. El tren se está moviendo, se está cayendo la gente. Está afuera la gente. Felipe, por favor, suba, suba, suba. Todo control, Felipe.
Oh my god! Do you think that is real? That is some edited footage?